What's up everybody, Ian here for Cult of Mac, and after an action-packed WWDC, we finally had a few days to see what Apple has in store for us in iOS, and more specifically iPadOS, in 2019. With so many new changes and features, we're going to try to highlight some of the most important ones over the next few weeks, and we're going to start with the new gestures on the iPad. So let's dig in. Now, a ton of the gestures in iOS 13 haven't changed dramatically, but they've changed just enough that some of them might feel a little bit broken or a little bit off if you've gotten really used to the way it works prior to this year's updates. Now, in the old version of iOS, up through iOS 12, if you pressed on the screen and just held, you would get a little magnifying glass thing to pop up, and you could drag the cursor back and forth for more precise cursor placement. Now in iOS 13, you just click on the cursor icon and simply drag that around as needed, much like you would the pointer on a mouse. Text selection can be done by tapping on a word and holding for a second, which will select that word, and from there you can pull the drag handles to select more text. But you can also grab the cursor and hold the cursor before or after a word, or even move the cursor to a spot, hold for a second, and then it will allow you to select text from where that cursor was dropped. Moving on to slightly more advanced and also slightly more awkward gestures, you can use two fingers in a list of items and select multiple items in that list. Instead of needing to switch into edit mode to select a bunch of things and then tap through the whole list, you can now take two fingers and drag through that list and it will select everything until you lift, but it allows you to quickly select multiple items from a list just by taking two fingers and dragging over that list. Another gesture you can do with two fingers is drag and drop, which isn't new in iOS 13, but it is something that some people may not understand or know how to use. So with drag and drop, it's pretty easy. You can take any file or any item from your photo library, from a note, from an email, from all kinds of places on your iPad, and simply drag on it for a second and you'll see it lift off the screen. From there you can move it around. You can swipe up with a second finger to find another app or another place you want to put that item, and then drag whatever it is into that app. Now in that same light, you can also use cut, copy, and paste, just like you have been able to before, or with the new three-finger cut, copy, and paste gesture. The cut, copy, paste gesture is a three-finger pinch or lift to copy, do it again to cut, and then a three-finger drop to paste wherever you need to place that text. On top of that, you can also do three-finger swipe left or right to undo or redo something that's happened inside of a document. So if you make a bunch of typing mistakes or accidentally delete too much, three fingers across the screen will undo, three fingers forward will redo. While we're on the topic of swiping left and right, you can actually use a single finger swipe right or swipe left to indent right or indent left text inside of the Notes app, which is a new addition as far as I'm aware in iOS 13. Now instead, you can just take your finger and quickly go tick, 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 and indent or outdent your text to make it much more easy to format documents and stuff like that. Now, one of my favorite gestures on the iPad is one that's not necessarily new, but it's one that a lot of people don't realize exists in the OS, and that's the 4 and 5 finger gestures. So taking 4 fingers and pulling up on an app will pull you up into the multitasking switcher. It kind of lifts the app up off the screen. At the same time, you can also take 5 fingers and pinch them all together, and it will begin to close the app. You can also take 4 fingers and swipe right or swipe left, and it will actually cycle through previously open apps. Another gesture worth looking at, which maybe isn't technically a gesture, is how to get apps into the slide overview. Now from any app, you can pull up a little bit from the bottom and you should see your dock pull up. Any app that's in your dock can be pulled over into a slide over as long as it supports slide over in the app. All of Apple's apps do, and many third-party apps do as well. Now, slide over apps in iOS 13 have seen a lot of changes. One of the things that's become a little more challenging is getting an app off screen when it's in slide over. Previously, you could just take the app, grab it at the top, and slide it off to the side, and it would disappear. Now, it's a little more fiddly, where you have to kind of grab the edge of the app, kind of pull it into the middle of the screen, and then you can swipe it off the edge. I assume this is just a bug of the beta, and it will get fixed at some point in the future. Now, slide over did see some big changes coming in iPadOS, and some of those have to do with how multitasking a slide over application works. Now with this slide over multitasking switcher, you can throw multiple apps into slide over, and then it essentially works like an iPhone 10 kind of floating on the side of your iPad. Just pull up the little home indicator a little bit, and you get a multitasking switcher specifically for your slide over applications. Now this could be multiple documents from the same application, or it could be a whole bunch of different apps that are all just floating there in that slide over panel. You can also quickly cycle through apps in slide over by swiping across the home indicator, much like how it works on the iPhone 10 style devices, where you can just swipe across that home indicator and it scrolls left or right through previously running apps. So I think that's all the major changes coming to iOS and iPadOS this year, but if we do find any other ones, we'll be sure to let you guys know. Thanks for watching the video. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed. Leave me a comment down below and let me know what feature of iOS or iPadOS you're most excited about. And while you're here, be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the new exciting features as we cover them over the course of this summer. I'm Ian for Cult of Mac, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.